Hey everyone, it's Colin. How's it going? It's been a little bit, so let's see what's new out at Free Geek. Free Geek Twin Cities is a nonprofit in Minneapolis that takes in donated computers and technology. They'll fix up anything that's still usable so it can go back out into the community and responsibly recycle the rest. Computers are of particular focus to them, especially these days with lots of people needing to work or learn from home. Data security is something that they take very seriously here. Computers that get dropped off have their hard drives taken out right away and go into a locked cage to be wiped. Computers that can't be refurbished don't necessarily go to waste. Usable parts are still kept, like these power supplies. They've also got some component testing stations set up, like this wall which primarily handles checking out various types of RAM. There are motherboards for each major variety up here, like DDR4 and DDR3. I like how they creatively mounted these laptops to the wall for testing that kind of RAM too. AV equipment is something they also get a lot of, and demand for it seems to be kinda mixed. Home theater receivers don't look to be very popular, but tape decks and turntables find new homes very quickly. Sadly, I didn't see much in terms of portable audio, just this Walkman and pair of sport CD players. Oh, but if you're missing a remote control, they probably have it here. Of course, one of the places I head to first when I visit is the Retro Room. It's not open to the public, but it's cool to see all the vintage stuff the volunteers are working on that might make its way out to the thrift store at some point. Like this Sony Vaio All-in-One. It appears to be model PCV6603, and it's got a 15-inch LCD and Pentium 4 CPU. Definitely has a multimedia kind of focus, with a built-in TV tuner and AV jacks on the side. Let me know in the comments if this is something you'd want to see an episode about. Retro tech is definitely something Free Geek has gotten into more lately, as we'll see when we wander through the thrift store. A few years ago, a lot of this might have been sent off for recycling, but the demand is really high now, and sometimes items get sold as soon as they make it to the store. It's great to see this stuff end up in the hands of people who want to use it. You know me, I like vintage Apple stuff too, so I really enjoy checking out what's shown up recently. Looks like a decent number of G3 and G4 era PowerBooks and iBooks. Wow, they even have a few titanium G4s too, and one of them looks to be in good shape. Here's something I haven't seen in a while, a set of Apple-designed powered speakers. They're from around 1993 or so. And in a bin below them, here's a PowerBook Duo mini dock. There's a decent variety of desktops here. A Mac 2, Power Mac 8100, an original iMac, though based on the note on top it's got some problems, and a bunch of Intel and G5 iMacs. There's an iMac G4 hiding back here too. On the shelves above, there's some more beige Mac desktops, including this, a Motorola StarMax 4000. It's a Mac clone from 1996. You don't see too many of these anymore. The topic of Mac clones is one I'll probably cover at some point. It's an interesting story. Here's something I fondly remember, this Q-Fire external optical drive. One of these was the first CD burner I ever owned. It connected through FireWire. Some people think it's gaudy, but honestly, I kinda miss the translucent plastic design aesthetic. I always just thought it felt fun. This machine caught my eye. It's a 12-inch PowerBook G4. I had one of these back when they were new, and I regret selling it when I upgraded a few years later. I might be talking to the staff about what it would take to bring this little guy home. While I was rummaging through stuff, Matt found this, the installer discs for version 3 of the Eudora email client. 1992. Wow, it's crazy to think how old email is. Here's something that's a real bummer, a bin full of iPads. A lot of these are in great shape and would otherwise be quite usable, except for the fact they're all activation locked. While it is a useful feature to help deter theft, if people donate an old device but forget to turn it off, that device is useless and ends up as scrap. Such a waste. Same with these iPhones. There are good condition ones in here, but most are iCloud locked too. In the hallway to the store, there's a shelf of free stuff. A lot of it is smaller LCD monitors, but there's also some books and movies and software here too. A few LCD TVs as well. Looks like they might just have some scratches on their screens or something. I'll let you come up with your own joke about this bin full of mouse balls. Everything we've seen so far is pretty similar to the last tour we took of Free Geek, but here's what's much different. The thrift store has seen a huge transformation. Due to the pandemic, they had to close the store for almost a year and switch to only online sales. The previous space was really cramped. There were a lot of walls and social distancing was pretty much impossible. So they completely remodeled the store, took out the walls, redid the floor, and got new shelves and tables. They still have a little work to do, like putting the ceiling tiles back in, but it's just such a huge improvement. And check out these awesome vintage Intel signs. Apparently they came from an old computer store. If you need a monitor, they've got a few here. These are modern widescreen displays, and they're generally priced between $20 and $40 or so, just depending on size and resolution. The extra floor space lets them put out a wider variety of vintage tech, like these old-school slide projectors. This is the first time I've seen LCD projectors out in the thrift store too. They're not necessarily the newest, but they can be great for another nonprofit or community organization, or just for playing retro games on. And speaking of games, that's something they also have more space for now. Looks like they're following market prices for these, like with this GameCube for $115, but each console appears to be bundled with accessories and sometimes a few games. There's a lot of retro gaming here. This N64 includes 4 controllers, and wow, they've even got a Game Gear. This one's in good shape, and it includes the power adapter and a couple games. Here's an NES bundle for $90 with a couple of controllers and a zapper for $20 with a copy of Duck Hunt. There's even a pair of Genesis Model 1s, one of which is complete in box. Lots of PlayStation stuff, a couple of first gens and a pair of slim PS2s. Some PS3s as well, a slim one and a fat one. I wonder if this one's backwards compatible. Here's an Xbox One, and this one even includes this promotional hat. Looks like it hasn't even been worn. They're starting to get a decent game software selection. Lots of PS3 and Xbox titles, and a few big box PC games too. Prices on these seem pretty fair, if you ask me. Over in the AV area, there are a couple of VCRs and a whole lot of DVD players. Most of these are between $5 and $10, though a few higher-end units are around $20. Here's a Panasonic Super VHS deck. You don't see these terribly often, and this is a higher-end model, so that price is pretty appropriate. If you want to get into retro audio, it seems like compact discs are starting to make a comeback. There were a bunch of players here between 25 and 50 bucks, and I suspect prices overall will start to go up in the not too distant future. This Sony is a solid model. I have one just like it. And here's a 5-disc changer. Remember these? Over by the checkout, they have some new old stock blank media. CDs and DVDs, zip discs, even some VHS-C tapes for old school camcorders. Also a bin of calculators. Here's a TI-84 Plus for 45 bucks. Brand new ones are so overpriced. This is a much better deal. FreeGeek also has a lot more computer parts out in the store now, like this shelf of motherboards. These usually aren't the newest, but they're still very usable for general computing. 40 bucks for this AM3 Plus board that also includes an FX 4130. They've got all kinds of RAM to go along with it, like DDR1 if you're working on a retro PC build, or 2 gig DDR3 sticks for $3 each. Something I was told that's been selling quickly are basic PCI Express video cards. They aren't really suitable for modern gaming, but for normal productivity use, $2.50 is hard to argue with. For retro systems, there's a bin of assorted AGP video cards. These are $3 each. Oh, and also sound cards. $5 for something like a Sound Blaster Live. I found a few retro PC tower cases, though it looks like you're getting more than just the case. Some of these had power supplies, floppy, and optical drives too. And here's something to install in those cases, some classic expansion cards and IDE hard drives. These have all been securely wiped and they're only $1 each. FreeGeek does occasionally get servers donated in, and they're out in the thrift store too. It's crazy to think of how expensive these would have been when they were new, usually at least $6,000 or $7,000 each. They also had a lot of Apple Airport wireless routers. Apple discontinued this line a few years ago, but they can still be quite usable. The Express models still have some fans since they support AirPlay and have an audio jack. A little bit of enterprise networking out here too, like this router and switch, and wow, a Palo Alto PA220 firewall. This would be great for a smaller office. Some cable modems too. A lot of people just rent theirs from their ISP for like $5 a month, but you could save a lot of money over the long term if you buy your own. And these are like $10 each. Demand for newer computers has been really high, so they don't stay out on the floor for very long. This is a major focus for FreeGeek, trying to make sure that usable computers are available at affordable prices. A good example is this Lenovo desktop for $55 with a quad-core i5 running Windows 10. Add in a monitor and you could get out of here for well under $100 with a machine perfectly capable of normal productivity tasks. Laptops are in even higher demand and sell even more quickly. They just had 3 out for sale when I visited, this MacBook Pro and a couple of machines from Toshiba and Asus. Periodically, companies will donate large batches of laptops that are only 3 or 4 years old, and these can be great affordable machines for use at home. I did a video about this a while back. I'll include a link so you can check that one out. Of course, there's all sorts of accessories like cables and adapters, and if you lost your laptop charger, they probably have a replacement for it. There are some full retro systems out for sale too, like these fixer-upper Pentium laptops that are $30 for the pair. And hey, recognize this monitor from a previous video? Here's something you don't see too often, especially in person: an in-box clamshell iBook. And check this one out, a Gateway Profile Pentium 3 all-in-one. As I was filming, Steve brought out another retro machine for sale, a PowerMac G4 Cube. It's the 450 MHz model, and the price of $400 also includes the 17-inch cinema display. A lot of G4 Cubes are a bit worse for wear these days, but this one looked good. I was told the last time Free Geek had a cube, it sold the same day. Overall, I'm really impressed with the improvements they've made to the store already. When I visited, they'd only reopened like a week or so prior, but they already had a good variety of stuff. As they get back into the swing of things with volunteers fixing up machines and donations coming in more regularly, I'm sure even more computers and cool technology will make it out here. So yeah, that's the tour. Lots of changes, lots of awesome work getting done in there. If you're interested in learning more about this place, I've included a link to it down in the description. Also, be sure to check out the documentary I did about Free Geek a couple of years ago. I put a lot of work into it, and it tells a really good story about all of the work that the folks here do and how it really benefits the community. Be sure to check that one out. But for now, if you like this one, I would appreciate a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe. You can follow me on social media at thisdoesnotcomp. And as always, thanks for watching.